Today's video from Sam4S Help, we're taking a look at the journal mode printing facility on the NR-510R and NR-510F registers. So the NR-500 is a series of registers. There's 4 machines in total. 2 of those machines have one printer, the 510F and the 510R. So I'll just show you here. This is the 510F, so it's the flat keyboard version. If you've got the 510R, the process is the same as what I'll show you in this video. So with the machine, you've got the receipt printer here, and that's the only printer that's with the machine, but you've also got a spool at the back of the machine which you can use in journal mode. So I'm going to show you how to set the journal mode up. So standard on the machine, when you process a sales transaction, if you've got the paper loaded correctly, then the printer automatically prints a receipt out of every transaction. You can turn this off, so you can stop the auto printing of the receipt by going to X mode, cache 7, receipt on off, and then pressing 1 and coming back out of there. It's a slightly convoluted process, but then that means that whenever you process a transaction, there's no automatic receipt print out. But if you want a copy, if you do want a receipt, you can press this button here, the cache button, and you'll get a copy of the transaction. Because this is quite, these machines are quite good at the paper saving, so you don't get lots of pointless paper printing out. You can just have nothing print out, even though you've got the till in receipt mode, and then have an end of day report print out. Because of that, I don't think the journal mode's that popular, but if you want to set it to journal mode, it's fairly straightforward to do, and I'll show you how to do it now. So the first thing you need is the metal key marked P, and you can then turn that round to the PGM position, and then you want option 4, so you can either scroll down to line 4 options or simply press 4, and then when you've got the arrow pointing to that line, you press cache to go into the options, and then we want system, which is the default one, and then this takes us to kind of like the system settings for the machine. The setting we're looking for is actually the very last one, and I think you should just be able to arrow up. Yeah, so it's line 46, page 8 of 8, so you could have scrolled through them all to get to the end, but it lets you just toggle up one. So the line there says use receipt as detail. As standard on the machines, it's set to no. To change it to yes, you press cache enter, arrow up to change it to Y for yes, cache enter saves, and then clear a couple of times till you get back to the main program mode, and then you can now turn the key round to the reg position. So the machine is now set to journal mode. If we turn the receipt back on, I'll just show you what happens in journal mode, or when you've got journal mode activated. Cache 7, receipt on off. We want receipt on, which would be the most common way of using journal mode. You'd want the receipt on. So what we'll have to do is load the paper onto the spool, so you can tell you've successfully set up journal mode by pressing the receipt feed button, and if you've got the spool loaded correctly, then the paper, when you press receipt feed, obviously the paper feeds, but also the spool spins. So to load the paper onto the spool, it goes into the little slot on the main central spindle and then tightly wraps around. Drop it back into place, double check it. That all looks good, so you can then replace the printer cover. So now every time you process a transaction, the receipt does print. Take that off so you can see it. But obviously, instead of feeding out the front of the machine, it goes onto the journal roll. So basically, the idea of journal roll is you've got an audit of everything that happens on the till, so you're able to remove it at the end of the day, or if there's been a problem, to look at it to see what's gone on. So refunds, voids, cancel sales, reports, anything that you do on the till. Let's just do some. So return, they're all recorded automatically onto the journal roll. If you do an end of day report or an X reading, they go onto the journal. So you've got some kind of audit trail to look at. Obviously on the twin roll versions of these machines, the 520s, then you don't need the spool, the journal option setting up, it's on there as standard. So if we now come out of that and go back to the reg mode, feed the paper on a bit. You can turn the receipt off in journal mode, but it seems pointless to me because then you've not got anything to look at. There is a journal window on the machine, so if you want to have a look at the journal, you can look straight through there to see if there's been a recent problem with a transaction. You want to look back the last few lines, you can see through the window there. If you don't want it in journal mode, then you prefer using it in receipt mode, then obviously the way of turning it back is the same as what you've done to set it up. So you would turn the key back round to PGM, 4 for options, you go into system and then up to line 46 and then use receipt as detail, arrow down gets you no, N for no, cache to save, clear a couple of times, key back round to reg, and then your till will now be set to receipt mode. So we just need to lose the spool or disconnect the spool from the paper, pop the printer cover back on, feed the paper. You can check you've done it correctly again because now I'm pressing receipt feed and the spool isn't spinning round. And again we're back into receipt mode, and again obviously we've got the option of turning the receipt off if we don't want it automatically printing with every transaction. Okay, I hope that video has been helpful. We've got plenty more videos helping you program and use the 500 series, some of which will be appearing on screen now, so you're welcome to watch those. You can also subscribe to this YouTube channel or visit sam4shelp.co.uk for more. Thanks for watching.